I don't know a whole lot about bikes. I grew up on a single speed, and as an adult, I had no need or desire to own a bike. None whatsoever. But now that my kids are a lot older and they're riding bikes pretty well, plus gas prices are completely through the roof, owning a bike makes a lot of sense to me. Now, I live in a hilly area, so I needed something that could help my, let's say, less experienced bike legs get up and down these hills. So I called up Swagtron because I've done a lot of work with them in the past. They've always been a really awesome company to do business with. And they recommended and provided me with the Swagtron EB11. It's a 7-speed electric bike that retails between $800 and $1,500. It completely depends on promotions. I have worked with Swagtron in the past, as I mentioned, and when it came to this bike, I just had a really strong feeling that it was going to last and be a good one not only to set up, but to use around these hills here in my town. I say that because in particular, they have a hoverboard that I reviewed about a year and a half ago that to this day my kids still use around the house or in the backyard. It's holding up very well to, little kids who they're not the most gentle when it comes to this type of technology, but it's holding up great. Now, getting around town without my truck is one of the biggest outcomes that I was expecting from owning a bike, any bike, whether it's a manual, traditional bike or an electric bike or a completely motorized bike. I wanted something that can help me do that because, gas prices are high, my truck is big and cumbersome. Just need something that can, easily pull into a grocery store, grab a bag, put it in the back on the cargo rack, which is removable, by the way, and then head back up the hill. This totally does that. So I looked at a cruiser bike, not a mountain bike or a dirt bike or whatever other kind of bikes there happen to be. This is the one I wanted, a cruiser bike. So getting it unboxed and set up wasn't too bad. I actually assembled it completely by myself. I had a little trouble with the kickstand. In fact, I bent it because I'm an idiot. And so I decided to take it to a local bike shop. And they charged me $100. It took about a week because they were busy. But they did completely reassemble it from the ground up. And they replaced the kickstand. I think that was $30. Maybe it was a little less with labor. And that was it. I was up and running. So if you know anything about bikes, you can probably do this by yourself. But again, me, inexperienced, no idea. But even with that inexperience, I was able to do it by myself. So using the EB11 is pretty straightforward. You turn the right handle to engage the motor. It's a 7-speed traditional bike gear set. Okay, so you can just change your gears like you normally would. There's another button that you can use to depress and go backwards on the cabling system. I'm totally out of my element here, guys. But anyway, now the motor has 3 different levels of support: 1, 2, and 3. You can go up 1, 2, 3, and then down 3, 2, 1. You can't go from 3 back to 1. Just a heads up. On the left, that's where the computer tracks your miles, your electrical output level, and your battery life. So it's not super sophisticated. It's pretty straightforward. But the cool thing is it's really easy to read even in really bright settings or with sunglasses on. Now, riding is smooth, but handling did take some getting used to. Going up a hill still requires you to use your legs, but the motor support is actually really helpful. Like I mentioned, I'm not very good at riding bikes. I do a little bit of biking at the gym, but nothing, to this degree of like reality, having to hold the bike steady or take a turn while going up a hill. So having the motor really helped me, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get an electric bike versus a traditional bike. I just don't have the legs for biking at this time. So the bike itself is actually heavier than I expected. It's 50.7 pounds with 26-inch wheels. But this actually, I think, makes handling curves easier. That extra weight allows me to balance better, and then I can actually use my body to really lean into those curves. And even with the motor engaged, it was actually pretty easy to deal with. It just took some getting used to. Now, I love the yellow and black color scheme on this thing too. I can't, wrap this up without talking about that. I think it looks really good. So the EB11 right now is just $800. I think that's a great deal. It does top out at $1,500 if you're not buying it on sale. So just, be smart about that. You can buy directly from Swagtron's website, so swagtron.com. I'll put a link in the description. The battery can be replaced, so I wouldn't worry too much about the long-term wear on that battery. It's not like you have to throw the whole bike away when the battery dies. You can use it as a traditional bike if that were to happen, but you can also replace the battery. There's a kind of a rack or a housing for it, so you'll have to make sure it fits. But there's a really good community on Reddit when it comes to e-bikes. And I'm sure there are other great communities in other places too, but I think that with these types of communities, you can probably find resources for replacing batteries, repairing batteries, retrofitting different types of batteries or larger batteries, all that stuff, into basically any type of e-bike. So keep that in mind, and you'll probably find an answer to every question that you have in these types of communities. I can only speak to the Reddit ones. That's where I put most of my time in. Okay, so if you're looking for a bike that can get you around town for running errands, or you want to go, have coffee with somebody, whatever. Or you want to spend time with your family, right? Your kids are riding bikes, so you want to have a bike too. You want to go on a little vacation and take a bike with you. I really highly recommend the EB11 by Swagtron. Awesome bike, really fun to ride. And for me, like I said, it fit everything I was looking for. So thanks for your time. Catch you on the next one. Cheers.